So, you've got a new contract kicking off. How do you make sure it gets started on the right foot, especially when we're talking about safety? Well, today we're diving into the OSH contract commencement process. It's a super important framework that can turn a simple kickoff into a rock-solid foundation for success. Let's get into it. Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about the why, the real foundation for success. Then, we'll get into the how, breaking down the two big steps, the pre-commencement meeting and the commencement audit. And finally, we'll tie it all together to see how this whole thing makes sure everybody wins. So let's start with the big question, right? How do you actually turn a new contract into a success story right from the get-go? Look, the answer isn't just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. It's all about having a smart, structured process that doesn't leave anything up to chance. Which brings us right to our first section, laying that foundation for success. Before we jump into the how-to, it's absolutely crucial to understand the why. Why even bother with a formal process? Well, because this is how you prevent those tiny misunderstandings that can blow up into major accidents down the line. So what is OSH contract commencement, really? At its heart, it's a structured process. It's not random, it's not informal. It uses two main tools, meetings and audits, for one clear reason, to get everyone aligned on safety requirements and exactly how things should be handled. The endgame here is simple, successful contractor management. That means projects get done safely, on time, and up to standard. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. First up is the pre-commencement meeting. This is all about getting everybody on the same page before a single bit of work actually starts. Okay, so what's the real goal here? Is this just another meeting to fill up the calendar? No way. This meeting serves a super specific, critical purpose. Think of it as your project's very first line of defense. The process itself is actually pretty straightforward, but it's powerful. First, you review all the official occupational safety and health requirements. This is basically setting the rules of the game. Step 2, you clarify the specific handling techniques. This is the how-to. How are we actually going to do this safely? What does that look like on the ground? And then step 3, and this might be the most important one, you confirm mutual understanding. It's that moment where everyone agrees, yep, we get the plan and we're ready to go. So you can really think of this meeting as the team's strategic huddle, right? It's where you go over the playbook, you ask all the questions, and you make sure every single person knows the plan before they even think about stepping onto the field. But a plan is only as good as its execution. Which brings us perfectly to our second key step, the commencement audit. This is where we shift gears from just talking to actually verifying. It's time to see that plan in action. This slide just lays it out so clearly, doesn't it? The meeting is the talk. That's where you're discussing the requirements and defining the techniques. The audit, well, that's the action. That's where you're verifying readiness and confirming that everything's been implemented. It's the difference between theory and practice. And this audit process is where the rubber meets the road. Step 1, on-site verification. You gotta be there, boots on the ground, to see it for yourself. Step 2 is checking the actual implementation of those techniques you all agreed on. Are people really doing what they said they would? Is the gear right? And finally, step 3 is confirming overall compliance. It's that last check to make sure the whole system is working just like you planned. So at the end of the day, the audit is all about one thing, verification and confirmation. It's that crucial link that proves the plans you made in the conference room have actually made it to the worksite. This is where theory meets reality. All right, let's bring this all home. How did these two pieces, the meeting and the audit, actually come together to create an environment where contractors can truly succeed? This quote from our source material just nails it. Running a great pre-commencement meeting and a thorough commencement audit, these aren't just bureaucratic steps to check off a list. They are essential skills. Getting good at them is what leads to successful contractor management. It's a real capability, not just a checklist. And this is the big takeaway right here. A good commencement process isn't about creating a mountain of paperwork. It's about creating protection. Protection for your workers, protection for the project, and frankly, protection for the company's reputation. It builds a culture of safety right from day one. And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. When you look at your own process, is it a real foundation for success, or has it kind of become just a formality, a box-ticking exercise? The answer to that could make all the difference. Thanks for joining me.